Welcome back to Sports Talk is McKimmy. This is the loose cannon David McBee, along with the Zen Master Mike Kimmy, and the one and only Joey Football in another record-breaking edition of Sports Talk is McKimmy. And this is coming out of our secret location somewhere in Gassville, Arkansas. It's time for our final segment into the week, and we're talking about, our rants and our positive things in the world of sports. So much going on, Mike and Joey. But, we could probably talk an entire show just on some of the crazy occurrences going on. Mike, what did you want to share with our fans this week?
Well, last week I was positive. I was talking about, the Kansas City Chiefs and overcoming cancer and inspiration. Of course, Kansas City was beaten. But really, keeping with football, Stan Kroenke and the Rams moving from St. Louis to Los Angeles. Now, of course, this hits me hard, right? Los Angeles Dodger fan, Los Angeles Laker fan, Los Angeles Rams fan, right? St. Louis Rams fan only because I grew up a Los Angeles Rams fan. But seeing them move, and what really disgusts me is what owners do to the cities that they have teams in. Expect them to pay for the stadiums that they make millions off of, billions of dollars. Why make billionaires more rich off of the taxpayer? And so in one sense, I'm very sad to see the Rams go away, because it's very likely that I will never see the Rams play live again, which is, it hurts me inside. It hurts my heart because, I love the Rams. I don't care how unsuccessful they have been over the last 13 years. But it makes me sick to see this quote, and it really is not a quote. He is a Hall of Fame, Missouri Hall of Fame member, Stan Kroenke, the owner, and I hope they throw him out of the Hall of Fame for promising to take the St. Louis Ram franchise and keep them into St. Louis and then removing them to Los Angeles to make a buck. And it happens all around sports, and it happens all around football in particular. And it just makes me sick from the perspective as a Rams fan and a sports fan. And so that's my rant of the week, Dave, to you.
Well, Mike, and I'll say, even though the St. Louis Rams are gone, the St. Louis Rams history will always have something that the Los Angeles Rams was never able to get, and that's a Super Bowl championship with Kurt Warner.
That's right.
And I totally agree with you. It was disgraceful for the Rams to leave. Had a fantastic fan base in St. Louis, and the ownership, after the Kurt Warner era, after that all kind of came to an end, the ownership let the fans down in St. Louis, and they should be ashamed of themselves on how they handled themselves. And honestly, when they're in L.A., my guts tell me it's going to be like when they were the L.A. Rams in the 80s, 70s, 60s. The fans out there are so fickle, and Kroenke's going to get what he deserves going back to L.A. I bet you that the fan base out there going to be strong at first, but will dwindle away, and he'll be looking to go somewhere else in a few years. Ridiculous to leave the fans in St. Louis. Now after losing the Cardinals and the Rams, they should be ashamed of themselves.
And I will add this, Dave. Having grown up in Los Angeles as a Los Angeles Rams fan, I don't care what the NFL says, Los Angeles is no NFL city. I don't care what anybody says.
Well, and Mike, I really feel it's going to come back and bite the Rams eventually. Sad day for the fans of St. Louis. Just an awful situation. But, of course, we talked about that's obviously the negative side of sports. I'm going to talk a little bit about the positive side of sports this week, and I wanted to mention, earlier this week I heard an interview with a pro wrestler, the Total Package, Lex Luger, former heavyweight champion of the world, an interview with him that was just extraordinary on the Ross Report this week. Lex Luger growing up was one of my favorite wrestlers in the world, a 3-time WCW heavyweight champion, a man who was, 6'5", 275 pounds, just like his name said. He was the total package. But hearing his life story and hearing how he's changed was just an extraordinary interview for me to hear. How he's, had to go through a spinal cord issue that caused him now to be 175 pounds, and, a lot of the struggles that he's had with drugs and all that kind of stuff. But hearing his interview, how he's completely, turned his life around, how he's given his life to Christ, and it's just been an incredible experience, hearing that for everything that was bad that happened with the Rams, hearing his life story was something that was just an incredible experience for me, a person who was a childhood hero of mine, to hear how the struggles that he's gone through and the struggles that a professional athlete and the temptations they face on a daily basis is just extraordinary. And to hear how he's moved from that and been able to change his life and has redeemed himself, just an absolutely incredible story. I would suggest any of our fans out there who want to hear that interview access the Ross Report and kind of check it out. It's just an extraordinary interview of a man who faced all the temptations that professional athletes face on a daily basis and beat those temptations. Just an absolutely incredible thing. He's completely turned his life around. And Joey, of course, we got Joey Softball here, who we've had him on before when we interviewed the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. Also a pro wrestling fan like myself. I'm going to turn it over to him real quick. Tell us what you feel about what's going on in the world of sports this week, Joey.
Well, Dave, I want to talk a little bit about coaching. We talked about a coach here recently that had been fired. Questions why he may have been fired. And that got me thinking about me as my time as a coach in the way of softball. And that's coming to an end, and I'm going to be taking on a new role into the world of football. Arkansas Tornado football, that is, as a sideline reporter. It's going to be new to me. But I was reflecting back as a coach and what coaching really is. And coaching was for me was to be able to help people see better in themselves than what they possibly were seeing. Bring out the best in them to help them to achieve their goals, set new goals for them, and to help them to be a better player, and past playing, being a better person, and to be able to carry out and do things better in their lives. And it's gonna be sad for me to move on, but I'm looking forward and excited to being a sideline reporter. I'm going to be looking for myself a coach. Somebody can maybe guide me, direct me, help me to see things that I don't see in myself, or lift me up. And so I'm going to be looking for a coach. And I'm going to be looking to I got two of them, I believe, two best coaches in the world. The guys that do this podcast every week, and I'm going to be looking up into that booth, and that is going to be my inspiration when I'm down on that field. And that's David and Mike, my brothers.
Well, Joey, thank you for those kind words. We're so excited to get the opportunity to cover these games and to see the Arkansas Tornadoes growing as an organization and allow the city of Mountain Home to experience something it's never experienced before with this semi-pro football team that we're going to have here. Going to be a really exciting next few months. And, of course, as we end this podcast, guys, just remember, go out and be nice to someone this week because you never know when you might not be here anymore. So be kind to those around you. Show them love. And in ending, I would just say, sports is such an important thing. It's a learning experience. You can, teach young men and young women so many things. Make sure, that you're being a good example, not only if you're coaching, but also if you're in the stands cheering on those young men and women. Be there to support them. Sports is such an important thing, but we'll be back next week with another podcast. Arkansas Tornado football right around the corner, guys. You guys all have a great week, and we'll catch you next time on Sports Talk is McKimmie. Sports Talk is McKimmie is brought to you by Mike Kinney Enterprises. Sponsored by SRE Enterprises. Produced by Emily Ann Hemming.